features, cultural characteristics. Okay, and not only that, these regions which have their own dimension of geographical dimension, language and cultural characteristics were also associated with the specific dynasty who ruled them. Okay, even they have distinct unique characteristics based on geographical, language as well as culture. It is also associated with the specific dynasty under which they were ruled. Under the ruler they were being ruled. Okay. At the same time, there were a considerable amount of conflicts between the states. States here referred to region. Each region is ruled by a ruler, right? So one that is called a state, another ruler ruled area is called a state. So there were also conflict between the states also. Okay. But rarely the dynasties like Cholas, Khaljis, Tughlaq and Mughal, they rarely only not everyone can build a very big empire in the subcontinent. But occasionally the dynasties like Cholas, Mughals, Tughlaqs as well as Khaljis, they were able to build a vast empire that was pan-regional. Pan-regional is nothing but spanning a diverse region. That is, the trend of extending the empire beyond the region of the original state. Suppose I am ruling a region. Okay. I go and conquer other lands and add their land also to your rule. Okay, you are annexing their land to your rule. You have won them, conquered the land and you acquire that land, and that country also, that state also come under your rule. That is called as pan-regional. Clear what is pan-regional? Separate regions together. For example, I own a state. I'm a king of a state. Imagine you are a king of a state. Okay. Now you conquer the next country beside you and defeat them, take over their country, land also, join to your country. Okay. So you are adjoining the region beyond your own state, right? Your empire is extended beyond your own state. That is called as pan-regional. Clear, Arjun? Yes. Okay, that is called as pan-regional. Not all the empires were equally stable as well as successful. They would have acquired it at some point, they would have lost also. So everyone were not stable or successful. Whoever rulers I have said, these four. Okay. For a long period, they were not successful. Okay. In 18th century, the Mughal Empire started to decline. The Mughal Empire is one of... Nishantes, can you go on mute? The Mughal Empire is one of the powerful ruler empires which set their rule, and they started acquiring most of the regions in the subcontinent and brought under the control, and they were ruling for a very, very long periods. Okay. So in the 18th century, their empire started to decline. The decline of the Mughal Empire led to the re-emergence of some regional states. Actually, regional states were annexed with the empire and it became a pan-regional rule, right? Many regions brought together and it formed a big empire under a single ruler. Yes or no? Now, when Mughal Empire declined, when it started to go down, the power go down, and when it started to go down, what happened? Again, the declination of Mughal Empire led to the re-emergence, rebirth of regional states, small states again. Okay. But all these regional states were under the pan-regional rule, right? For many years together, under the same ruler for many years together. This altered the characteristic of these regional states. Okay. The characteristic means it might be a cultural change, religious change, government, economic change, governance change, management changes. Okay, it includes all these things. So all this characters of the regional states have been altered because they were under the pan-regional rule, Mughal rule for a long period of time. Okay, even though it's an alter in the character of the regional state, but they have their own character. Each region has their own characteristic, right? Before coming under the pan-regional rule, they would have had a own belief, character, culture, right? That they did not left it out. That legacy that was followed up and it dominated over the change in the character of the region. Even though they applied the change, they did not fully accept it, but they also their basic characteristics, their basic cultural practice, everything dominated. The best example which I give you for your understanding is, we eat pizza, burger, noodles, all these things. Okay, is it our traditional food? Is it our traditional food? No, right? It came from somewhere else. But if you prepare burger, pizza on any festival days?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. We will prepare our own traditional food. Our tradition stands there, right? Even after so many years. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Our tradition stands there. We did not leave that tradition, give up the tradition, even though we have seen a lot of changes happening in our life. Yes or no? Some basic traditions, still we follow it. We don't give it up. The same way, these characteristics in the regions change, but the basic characteristics which they used to follow in their region dominated this change, and it was also under practice. Okay. And how this is visible to us means, the emergence of distinct and shared tradition can be seen in which are the terms we can see the distinct character and shared tradition character means in the realms of governance. Okay, the chances of sharing different tradition, where we can see it is in the religion, the realms of governance, management of the economy, allied cultures, culture and tradition, the languages which we use. Okay, here and all in these sectors we can see the distinct, unique tradition of that region as well as the shared traditions. So throughout the years from 1700 to 1750, the character of different region did not grow in isolation. They did not grow separately. Each regional characteristic did not grow separately, but they grew it together collectively only. At the same time, these regions, these individual regional states had the impact of the pan-regional rule. At the same time, they integrated without losing their distinctive characteristic of that region. Following new things they adopted, which is good to the society. At the same time, their distinct cultural, they did not give up their distinctive culture. That is the concept. Any doubts so far?
No doubts, ma'am.
Am I clear to everyone?
Ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Now let's move on to language and region, a small topic. Elite. Some what do you say? Developed culture. Okay. Language and region. So the poet Amir Khusro, in the starting of the lesson itself, we studied in the second session class itself, a 14th century poet Amir Khusro, who called Hindustan as Hind, right? This person in 1318, he noted that there was different languages used in the every region of the land. Okay, This person, this Amir Khusro, in 1318, he mentioned out that there were different languages used in different region of our subcontinent. Okay, Sindhi language was used, Lahori was used, Kashmiri was used, Darb Samutri was used. Darb Samutri is the language in southern Karnataka, used in southern Karnataka. At the same time, in Andhra Pradesh, Telangani was used. Gujarat, Gujari. Tamil Nadu, Mabari. Bengali, Gauri. In Uttar Pradesh, eastern Uttar Pradesh, Awadhi language was used. And the areas around Delhi, Hindavi was used. These were the languages.
Ma'am, what is Mabari, ma'am?
The language name given on those days. These are the names of the languages given on those days. Okay. So, these are the different languages used in different region. Amir Khusro has listed out in the year 1318. Okay. So, not only that, he also explained that in contrast to all these languages, okay, there was a language called Sanskrit which do not belong to any region. Sanskrit is a language which did not belong to any region in the subcontinent. It was a very old language and common people do not know Sanskrit. Only the Brahmanas know the Sanskrit in those days. Nowadays we are even studying in our schools, right? In olden days, only Brahmanas knew the language. Common people did not know Sanskrit. Only the Brahmanas were allowed. So they learnt it orally. From the gurus, the Sishyas will learn from him. His Sishyas will learn like that. It passed over orally only. Okay. That is about language and region. So there is a small assignment. Take a note of it. You have to make a list of languages mentioned by Amir Khusro. And you have to prepare another list of names of language spoken today in the regions he mentioned.
And this homework was in the what's it, ma'am?
This is your assignment. Take it down.
Ma'am, your screen was stuck, ma'am.
Have you noted down? Have you all noted down?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So if I conduct the quiz, I cannot move on to the next topic. Let me finish this and tomorrow we'll have a quiz. Okay. Lots is there to complete before this month. Now let's start with old and new religion. Religious belief. Okay. So
Was stuck, ma'am.
during the year 700 to Varsha, kindly go on mute, Varsha. During the year 700 to 750, this period not only witnessed in the change in technology, region, social, economic, culture, everything, political emergence of political groups. Not only those changes it has witnessed, but also it witnessed major developments in the religious tradition. Okay, religious belief also there was a major development. So people believed in God, that is the divine. People believed in God. Sometimes they believe deeply, very personal, but most usually it is collective. So the religious belief, sometimes some people were very personal, had a very personal belief, and some people had a collective belief. So what do you mean by personal and collective? First let us see. Collective belief is nothing but interconnected with the social and economic organization of the local communities. That is called as collective belief. So believing in God, the divine,
which is the supernatural agency in that religion, and often they are mostly interconnected with the social and economic organization of the local communities. Okay, so what is a personal belief is directly connect to a personal deity without the help of a priest or a elaborate rituals, conducting an elaborate ritual. That is called as personal belief. How many of you heard about Mirabai? How many of you heard about Mirabai?
Me, ma'am.
Yes. So who is Mirabai?
She is a devotee of Krishna.
Did she require any priest or any special ritual to connect with God?
No, ma'am.
No. So that is the best example for you to explain about personal connectment. So she personally believed Lord Krishna as a deity and he will save from everything. She offered her entire life to Lord Krishna, even though she is a queen. She got married to a king, she became a queen, but still she had only Krishna in the heart. She took Krishna very personally as a god and she believed in and she moved on in her life. She did not take any aid of the priest or did not perform any elaborate ritual, but she had a strong belief toward God. That is personal. Whereas collective, different groups, people have their belief towards supernatural God in different groups. Some worship, some might be Saivites, some might be Vaishnavites, right? Under Saivites and Vaishnavites, it's a different deities are there, right? Some will say I am follower of Lord Muruga. Some says I am the follower of goddess Parvati. Some say I believe Lord Shiva, like that. Okay. So these social words of these groups altered to, so these social these changes in the social groups which are witnessed during the period altered in their beliefs also. Okay. Now let's see about the change which occurred in the Hinduism religion during this period. So the Hinduism religion also witnessed an important change during this period, 700 to 1750. So it included worship of many deities, many gods, Shiva, Muruga, Vinayakar, Parvati, Vishnu, and many incarnations of Vishnu, right? Many deities. Royal people started constructing temples, and the importance of Brahmanas and priests started to grow and became dominant in the society. This was the changes happened.
Ma'am, your
Okay.
voice is not out.
This was the changes happened in the Hinduism religion during this period. So new gods, number of new deities came into existence. Royal people started constructing temples. The kings started constructing the temples, big, big temples. Then Brahmanas and priests became important during this power and they became dominant in the society. So, why these Brahmanas were respected a lot? They were given, Brahmanas and priests were given a huge respect in the society. Why they were given so much of respect means because of their knowledge in Sanskrit text. Okay, the knowledge they earned in the Sanskrit text only made them to gain lot of respect in the society, and their position became very dominant, and it was consolidated by the support of the patrons. So patrons is, okay, let me finish off. Patrons is nothing but a very influential and wealthy person supporting another group of people. It might be a Brahmana, it might be an artisan, it might be a craft person or a learned person or a noble. Okay. Any well influenced, wealthy person supporting another group of person is called as patrons. Okay. So Brahmanas were dominating in the society and their power was dominated with the support of the patrons living in those areas. Another major development happened in the society in terms of religion is the emergence of bhakti, idea of bhakti. So the idea of bhakti started to emerge during 700 to 1750. That was a major development happened in this period. So of loving a personal deity, whoever you wish to worship, loving them like anything, loving them personally, deity. I am a follower of Krishna. For everything, before eating Krishna, sleeping Krishna, walking Krishna, by doing bhajans on Krishna, whatever deity they wish. Okay, personal deity and devotees could reach according to the concept of bhakti idea. I told you personal uh, personal belief, right? So based on their personal belief, they did not require any priest or any rituals to be performed to attain to show their bhakti towards the god. Okay, without aid of any priest or elaborate rituals, they started loving the personal deity whichever they worship. This also emerged during 9th and 10th century. So which period it emerged means during the 9th and 10th century. Any doubts so far?
No doubts, ma'am.
No doubts, ma'am.
Okay. Last 5 minutes. Let me, so some more is there in the religion and bhakti. About Muslim religion we will learn. We'll stop till Hinduism. Tomorrow we'll continue with Muslim. Now I'll give you a quiz. 5 minutes is there, right? Okay, children. Type join my quiz in Google Chrome. Join my quiz in Google Chrome.
Ma'am, code number.
Wait. Code is 400256. Quick children, don't waste the time. Join the quiz quickly. Type joinmyquiz.com. Type the code number.
Ma'am, it's loading, ma'am.
Yes. Quick.
Sashi ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
share we have option is there, no? You can copy the link and you can paste it in the chat box also, so that children can easily join. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
A chat box, ma'am.
1 minute, children. I'll stop sharing. I'm posting the link also here, children. I'm posting the link also in the chat box. Okay, fine. Okay.
Ghazni is situated in dash. Quick. Yes, Bhagyashree is in the lead, followed by Varshini. 9 gave the correct answer. When did the Mughal Empire start to decline? Quick. Time up. So who's on top? Again, Bhagyashree, Anirudh, Bhagyashree, Raghunath, Varshini, Pari, Padmaja. 13 gave right. 18 gave 18th century. Only 7 got the right answer. Why? Time up. Anirudh followed by Bhagyashree, Padmaja, Varshini, Pari. 18 gave the correct answer. Good. Next question. Ahmed Khusro has described that every region of India has its own different language in.
Excuse me, ma'am. Time over, ma'am.
2 seconds, ma'am.
Okay.
They'll complete it of this
Okay,
one.
okay.
Time up.